With the NBA playoffs well underway, it's never too early to start looking at this year's NBA draft prospects. So this is my 2023 mock draft 1.0.
With the first pick, the Detroit Pistons select.
Drum roll, please. No, we don't need a drum roll. It's Victor Wembanyama. This guy is the most talked about NBA prospect since LeBron James was drafted in 2003. This guy is an absolute alien specimen, whatever you want to call him. He is insane. He is 7'5", weighs 220 pounds. The guy can take you off the dribble. He can shoot it from three. He even had an insane play where he actually missed a three-pointer and caught it all in one motion and dunked it into the basket, something we have never seen in a basketball player before. This guy could be this generation's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We don't really know what he will be, but he has limitless potential and he could be the greatest draft prospect of all time. So we really don't need to talk about him much. Victor Wembanyama will be the #1 pick in this NBA draft, no matter what team is selecting first. Now at number 2, there could be a debate here between two players specifically.
The second pick, the Houston Rockets select.
Scoot Henderson from G League Ignite. This guy has been playing in the G League for 2 years. He's an explosive small guard. Very similar to Russell Westbrook in terms of burst and athleticism, and this guy is an absolute bucket, a natural scorer. He does have to work on his jump shot a bit, but he's also a really solid playmaker. From what I've heard, he has great work ethic as well, so that jumper will only improve with time. He's only 6'2", so there are questions about smaller guards on defense in the NBA, as well as the time span of how long their careers will generally go. Smaller guards tend to have less of a lifetime in the NBA, but at the same time we have seen a lot of smaller guards have success recently. Look at Chris Paul. He's still going strong into his late 30s, so he has been able to kick that trend. Even Russell Westbrook has been having a resurgence lately in the NBA playoffs. So I think Scoot Henderson goes number 2 here. He fits in perfectly with what Houston is trying to do. They desperately need a point guard and a playmaker and a leader in that locker room. Hopefully Scoot can be a young leader for them and set the example with his hard work. And hopefully he can turn things around in Houston and give them a centerpiece to becoming a competitive team once again.
With the third pick, the San Antonio Spurs select
Brandon Miller out of Alabama. This guy is an elite sniper from the three-point line at 6'9". What a fantastic prospect in the NBA, in a league that is more and more leaning towards wings being the playmakers. This guy can take you off the dribble as well. He has a pretty solid handle. I think he's an underrated playmaker as well. He has decent court vision. Obviously, it's not going to be his first thing that he uses when he's in the NBA. He will most likely be a spot-up shooter at first and a cutter off the ball, but he does have potential for on-ball creation. He has gotten comparisons to Paul George before. I don't see it in terms of the athleticism. Not that he's not athletic, but Paul George was a freak athlete coming into the NBA, and I don't see that same type of thing. But this kid is absolutely going to be a 20-point scorer in the NBA. I mean, shooting at that size with the ability to handle the ball, there's no question. And he has a really great defensive ceiling as well with that size and that length on the defensive end and on the wing. I think he would be a great addition to what San Antonio already has there, with great switchable wings in Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Malachi Branham, Jeremy Sohan. They have a lot of those type of archetype guys, so I think he would fit in perfectly there at the small forward or power forward spot for them, depending how they want to go. If they want to go small, if they want to go big, definitely would be a great addition to that San Antonio Spurs team. Now on to the number 4 pick here. This is where the draft starts to get really interesting. I don't think there's a consensus number 4 pick in this draft this year. And I think that Charlotte is going to go basically with the best fit here, because there are a lot of prospects that could be interesting, but there are a lot of prospects that could be a weird fit for Charlotte.
With the 4th pick in the Charlotte Hornets select
Jarace Walker out of Houston. This guy is a ferocious defender. That is what he's going to be when he comes into the NBA right away. A guy that can defend on the ball or off the ball. Definitely can protect the rim as well. A Draymond Green archetype in terms of his defensive capabilities. He's not the passer that Green is, but this guy is just, he has a ton of energy. Think Scottie Barnes when he was playing in college. He doesn't have that type of handle either, but in terms of the defensive ability, Scottie Barnes had a lot of comparisons to Draymond Green as well coming out of college. This guy is going to be a great energy guy, a great culture guy for the Charlotte Hornets. They desperately need a change of culture there. So I think he would fit perfectly in Charlotte there.
With the 5th pick, the Portland Trailblazers select
Amen Thompson. Now, this could easily be a trade candidate here. Definitely could see Portland making a big swing if a star becomes available with this pick, especially if they were to get number 1 in the lottery, but that's a whole different story. But if that scenario does not happen, I think they stick with this pick here and take Amen Thompson, highest potential on the board. We don't know what's happening with Damian Lillard. We know that he is the epitome of loyalty in the NBA, but it does seem like there might be mutual interest in a trade there from both sides, and it would probably be the best for the Portland Trailblazers to move on from Dame, just because they need a fresh start, and with Dame on the team, they're never going to be able to rebuild. He will not settle for a rebuild, and he shouldn't have to, and I think it would be great for both sides to come to an agreement on a trade and trade him to a destination that he likes, and that would also be beneficial to Portland and for them to kickstart their rebuild around Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, and also this draft pick here in Amen Thompson, who I think would be a great replacement for Dame. Obviously, you can't replace what Dame has given to the city of Portland, but this kid has immense potential at 6'7", able to play the point guard position. He's a little bit raw, definitely as a shooter, but he has really good court vision. He has insane athleticism, like incredible athleticism, just like his brother Ausar as well. But this guy, if he puts it all together, he could be, you know, Penny Hardaway type, maybe what Sean Livingston was supposed to be in the NBA before he got that gruesome injury. Obviously, that archetype of tall point guards that can really play multiple positions but still be effective playmakers for you. And I think this is a perfect landing spot for Amen Thompson.
With the 6th pick, the Orlando Magic select
Cam Whitmore out of Villanova. Whitmore is a 6'7" wing, 225 pounds, a really big guy on the wing there for Orlando, who already has a bunch of great prospects on the wing, but they could always use another. Orlando is collecting a lot of talent, and I just think that they could use another energy wing defender, a 3-and-D guy. Obviously, Whitmore isn't the best shooter yet, but he has a solid stroke. He's shown the ability to create off the dribble a little bit as well. He plays with great energy on defense, and he's a willing shooter and a hard worker. So I think that Whitmore would be a great guy to have off the bench for now for the Orlando Magic, and potentially even start at the 2 or the 3, depending how the Magic want to go. They want to play Franz at the 2, you know, Whitmore at the 2, or vice versa. I think he would be a great addition to this team that is just looking to get better.
With the 7th pick, the Indiana Pacers select
Taylor Hendricks out of UCF, and this guy is a really intriguing prospect. All of these guys that are long and can shoot and have defensive potential are always the best prospects in the NBA draft. He is a multi-level defender. He can protect the rim, he can defend on the ball, he can defend off the ball, he can be a help side defender. All of these traits are going to help hugely in Indiana next to Miles Turner. Imagine having those two on defense and then having Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton in the backcourt, Benedict Mathurin as well, having shooters around them. And Hendricks can also shoot the ball a little bit. He has potential to become a really solid outside shooter. I think that he could be similar to Jonathan Isaac, obviously when he was healthy, in terms of his defensive potential, just absolutely capable of shutting down an opponent any given night. This guy is a really good pick here at number 7. Could be one of the steals of the draft.
With the 8th pick, the Washington Wizards select
Ausar Thompson, and I think they just go best player available here, especially after they have let go of their general manager recently. I could see some stuff changing in Washington, potentially a Bradley Beal trade, we don't know, but either way, I think they need to take the highest upside guy here. I mean, the Wizards have been selecting in the lottery for a couple years now, and they really haven't made great picks, especially this past year with Johnny Davis. Before that, Corey Kispert, Deni Avdija. Obviously, these guys have been, in terms of Avdija and Kispert, have been pretty good role players in the NBA so far, but that is not what you're looking for in the lottery. And they need to hit big, and to hit big, you got to swing big. You got to take a risky potential prospect here in Ausar. Obviously, he has struggled shooting. He's a better shooter than his brother Amen. He definitely is the more polished prospect right now. He's more of a 2 guard than a point guard, but I could see him playing on the ball a little bit. I think he would fit nicely next to Bradley Beal there, potentially long term if that was the case. But I think he's just a swing, and hopefully he pans out for the Wizards and turns into some type of valuable prospect for them to use either in a trade down the line or as a building block going forward if they decide to trade Bradley Beal.
with the 9th pick, the Utah Jazz select
Grady Dick out of Kansas, and Grady is a fantastic shooter, one of the best shooters in this draft, and on top of that, he has great size, being 6'7", 6'8", can definitely play the wing position for you. I do think he needs to gain a little muscle in the NBA, especially if he wants to compete on the defensive end, but I look at him very similarly as I would look at a Kevin Huerter or a JJ Redick type of player, just an absolute sniper from behind the line, and with potential to become more than that, maybe even a Gordon Hayward type where he can play make a little bit, take you off the dribble in certain situations. But I really like Grady Dick here, definitely one of my favorite prospects in this draft, and I think the Jazz would love to get more shooting around Walker Kessler, surround Kessler with Lauri Markkanen, obviously Grady Dick. They already have Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton. All those guys are great shooters, and I think Grady would make a fantastic addition in Utah.
with the 10th pick, the Dallas Mavericks select
Cason Wallace out of Kentucky. He is a 6'4" point guard and an absolute hound on defense, and that is exactly what the Dallas Mavericks need. They need defense from all positions, but I think they especially need a perimeter defender, because if you don't have perimeter defense, that's a big problem. I mean, how are you going to stop dribble penetration? Even if you have a good rim protector, you're going to put that rim protector in bad spots if you don't have good on-ball defense at the point of attack. So I think Cason Wallace would be a fantastic addition here. Definitely would help them out on the defensive end, whether he's coming off the bench or he's starting if Kyrie Irving is gone this offseason. They also need to think about a replacement at point guard for him. So that's another reason why I think this is a good pick for them. And they just need to take best value here, and I think Cason Wallace is one of those guys. Has gotten compared to Drew Holiday at certain points. If he ends up turning into that, that's fantastic for them, or even for them to use in a trade later on. All they need to worry about is surrounding Luka with defensively capable players, and I think Cason would fit right in there in Dallas.
with the 11th pick, the Orlando Magic select
Bryce Sensabaugh out of Ohio State. This guy is a beast, and I'm telling you, he's a beast in terms of his size. 6'6", 235-pound shooting guard, small forward, power forward, whatever you want to call him. This guy's a bucket. Okay, he can absolutely score points in bunches, whether it's from the three-point line, which he shot over 40% from in college, or getting to the rim. He has that little mid-range game as well, that little DeMar DeRozan turnaround, mid-rangers, pull up from the free throw line. Definitely a good skill to have in today's NBA, where everybody's guarding you very tightly from the three-point line or going to the rim. You always need to have that ability to hit a shot in the mid-range, especially going forward. If he were to be in a playoff situation, that is the shot that teams are going to give you, and I think he will end up being a really good scorer in the NBA. Could end up being a little inefficient early in his career, and he definitely needs to work on his defensive awareness. He got lost at times at Ohio State this past season on defense, so he needs to work on that. But this kid is young. He's actually an Orlando native as well, which would be a really cool homecoming for him. He went to Lake Highland in Orlando, and I think this would be a fantastic pick for the Magic, who need more shooting and just more scoring in general.
12th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select
Anthony Black out of Arkansas. This guy is a really solid potential playmaker, defender. He's kind of your Swiss Army knife, do everything type of guy. At 6'7", he can play multiple positions, can switch all around the court. That is exactly what Oklahoma City has been building with guys like Shea, Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, and Lou Dort, that they can all switch on defense and sometimes even on offense at all times. And that is going to be a great addition for them. I think he can make a really solid backup point guard, shooting guard, small forward, whatever you need him to be. I think he can do it. Definitely reminds me a little bit of Dyson Daniels from last year. Definitely needs to work on his aggressiveness in terms of scoring, needs to work on his jump shot, but I think his defensive potential is really high, and I think he fits the archetype of what OKC has been building there.
the 13th pick, the Toronto Raptors select
Jalen Hood-Schifino out of Indiana. He is a 6'6" true playmaking point guard who absolutely does not get rattled in big time situations. This guy is a really good ball handler. He's not extremely athletic, so that is definitely a downside, but the Toronto Raptors have experience with steady point guards that aren't super athletic, with Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, and I think he would fit absolutely perfect in Toronto. I think this is absolutely a Toronto pick, just picking a guy that is a good basketball player that knows what he's doing in high pressure situations. I think they need a change there at the point guard position, especially if Fred VanVleet doesn't re-sign in the offseason. But even if he does, he can play next to him with his 6'6" size, and Toronto is going with that big wing switchable lineup, and he fits in there too with his size as well. I think Hood-Schifino is a really good pick here for the Toronto Raptors.
with the 14th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans select
Jordan Hawkins out of the national champion UConn Huskies. And Hawkins is a fantastic lights out shooter. Honestly, his stroke reminds me a little bit of Ray Allen. Definitely not saying he's going to be Ray Allen. We could slow down there. But I'm saying this guy is going to be an absolute knockdown shooter right away in the NBA. He was a sophomore this year, so he's one of those older prospects coming into the league. But he's still only 20 years old, and I think this guy is just going to be a professional. He's going to fit into an NBA rotation right away. The New Orleans Pelicans need win-now players right now. I also think they could trade this pick potentially because they have so many good young players already, and they really need win-now guys. But I really like this pick if they were to keep it. He's another like Trey Murphy guy in their lineup that can just spot up or even do a little bit off the dribble. I don't think that's going to be his forte, but the guy can make a lot of movement three-pointers, which is why I say he reminds me of Ray Allen a little bit, coming off of those screens. And I think he would be a fantastic addition to any team, but especially here to New Orleans at number 14. This is a great pick for them. If you want to see the big trades that I anticipate happening as early as this 2023 NBA draft, go ahead and click on this one right here. And guys, please leave a like on the video if you like it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. And if you guys like the channel, please subscribe. And most importantly, have a great rest of your day.